Welcome to the era of the short circuit. In the year 2026, the global system is no longer content with merely harvesting your attention through screens, it is now physically dismantling the very insulation of your sovereign soul. I am Dr. Julian Thorne, and today we are going to expose a biological crime of unprecedented proportions, the myelin harvest. Your brain and your entire peripheral nervous system are a vast, complex network of high-speed electrical wiring. In a healthy human, these biological wires are protected by a fatty, pearlescent, and high-voltage substance called myelin. This is the sacred insulation that allows your thoughts to travel at lightning speeds. It is the barrier that separates the focused mind of a genius from the fragmented, stuttering consciousness of a digital slave. But in this late-stage wasteland, your myelin is under a systematic, multi-pronged attack. Through a calculated combination of neurotoxic industrial oils, synthetic electromagnetic frequencies, and chronic sleep fragmentation, the system is stripping your nerves bare. They are turning your high-speed fiber optic nervous system into a leaky, sparking copper wire. You are literally losing the biological ability to think a deep thought before the system can interrupt you. Observe the catastrophic rise of the fragmented generation, individuals who can no longer read a page of text or hold a singular vision for more than a few seconds. This is not a lack of willpower, it is a biological insulation failure. When your myelin is compromised, your internal electrical signals begin to leak into the surrounding tissue, creating the agonizing cognitive interference we call brain fog. The 2026 harvest thrives on this electrical leak. A mind without insulation is a mind that is perpetually distractible, easily frightened, and biologically incapable of the sustained focus required to recognize the walls of its own cage. We are witnessing the systematic demyelination of the human species, a process that turns sovereign warriors into twitching, reactive consumers. In this episode, we will deconstruct the myelin harvest protocol. We will discuss the alchemical fats and the frequency shielding required to re-insulate your nerves, turning your brain back into a high-voltage sanctuary. Your focus is not just a habit, it is a physical layer of protection. And it is time to thicken your armor once again. To understand the destruction of your focus, you must understand the lipid war being waged in your kitchen and your bloodstream. Myelin is composed primarily of specialized fats and proteins, a delicate biological architecture that requires the highest quality building blocks to maintain its integrity. However, the 2026 food supply has been systematically flooded with industrial seed oils, chemically unstable, highly inflammatory fats that the body is forced to use when real nutrients are absent. When you build your nervous system out of these synthetic, unstable fats, your myelin becomes brittle and leaky. It cannot withstand the high-frequency electrical load of deep thought. Your nerves begin to fray like old, cheap extension cords. This is the physiological foundation of the modern anxiety epidemic. Your body knows its wiring is faulty, and it is sending a constant alarm signal to your brain. You aren't anxious because of your life, you are anxious because your nerves are literally sparking in the dark. Furthermore, the system has weaponized the low-fat dogma for decades to ensure that the human population remains in a state of chronic neurofragility. By starving the brain of essential animal fats and cholesterol, the very raw materials required for myelin repair, they have ensured that your cognitive hardware is perpetually breaking down. A brain starved of high-quality lipids is a brain that cannot heal its own circuitry. It is a brain that remains stuck in a low-power, reactive mode, unable to achieve the flow state that is the birthright of every sovereign human. The myelin harvest is, at its core, a nutritional blockade. They have replaced your biological armor with cheap, flammable plastic, and then they wonder why the world is on fire. Reclaiming your myelin begins with a radical return to the sacred fats of our ancestors, a militant rejection of the industrial sludge that has been passed off as food. You must feed the machine the fuel it was designed to burn, or watch as your focus dissolves into the digital void. The second front of the myelin harvest is invisible, silent, and omnipresent, the global electromagnetic grid of 2026. Every nerve in your body is a conductive wire, and every wire that carries a current is affected by external magnetic fields. In the primordial past, the Earth's natural resonance provided a stable background for our internal electrical signals. Today, however, you are submerged in a chaotic sea of synthetic 5G, 6G, and high-density Wi-Fi signals that vibrate at frequencies completely alien to human biology. For a well-insulated, myelinated nerve, this background noise is manageable. But for the modern, demyelinated human, this frequency friction is devastating. Without a thick layer of myelin to shield the signal, external frequencies induce microcurrents in your nerves, disrupting the timing of your thoughts and triggering a perpetual state of cellular stress. You are literally being cooked by the ambient noise of the digital age. This is why you feel that inexplicable sense of internal buzzing when you are in a high-tech environment. Your nerves are vibrating in sympathy with the grid because they have lost their protective coating. This frequency friction accelerates the breakdown of myelin even further, creating a lethal feedback loop of cognitive decay. The more time you spend plugged into the grid without insulation, the faster your insulation disappears. The system wants your nerves to be naked so that they can be more easily influenced by external signal modulation. A mind without myelin is a mind that can be tuned like a radio from the outside. To resist this, you must not only rebuild your biological insulation but also create frequency sanctuaries in your life. You must learn to ground your body to the earth and shield your sleeping environment from the invisible harvesters. If you do not protect your wires, the grid will use them for its own purposes. You are either a transmitter of your own soul or a relay station for the system's noise. Rebuilding your myelin is not a passive process, it is a militant, alchemical undertaking that requires total commitment to biological excellence. The first step in the Thorne protocol for re-insulation is the deep focus strike. Myelin is not just built by what you eat, it is built by how you use your brain. Every time you engage in intense, singular focus, ignoring all distractions and pushing your cognitive limits, you send a signal to your oligodendrocytes to wrap more myelin around those specific neural pathways. Deep work is the physical hammer that forges your neural armor. Conversely, every time you indulge in multitasking or scroll through fragmented short-form content, you are telling your brain that insulation is unnecessary. You are effectively pruning your own power. You must choose: will you be a blunt instrument or a razor-sharp blade? The thickness of your myelin is the physical manifestation of that choice. The second pillar of the protocol is neurolipid loading. You must flood your system with the specific raw materials required for myelin synthesis: high-quality DHA, phospholipids, and fat-soluble vitamins like K2 and D3. These are the bricks and mortar of your nervous system's fortress. In the year 2026, these nutrients are harder to find than gold, but they are the only currency that matters for your cognitive survival. When you combine this nutritional loading with the elimination of frequency stressors and the practice of deep, uninterrupted focus, you begin the process of remyelination. You will feel it as a sudden, sharp return of clarity. The fuzz in your mind will begin to clear, your reaction times will shorten, and your ability to hold a complex vision will return with a terrifying intensity. You are no longer just thinking, you are conducting high-voltage lightning through a perfectly insulated medium. This is the state of the sovereign thinker, the human who cannot be distracted because his armor is too thick for the system's needles to penetrate. As we conclude this dissection of the myelin harvest, look at the world around you with new, clinical eyes. See the twitching, the anxiety, and the fragmentation not as character flaws, but as the visible symptoms of a de-insulated species. The global harvest relies on a population of leaky nervous systems, people who are too electrically unstable to stand their ground, too distracted to see the truth, and too exhausted to fight back. But you now hold the blueprint for the ultimate defense. Your myelin is your shield. It is the physical manifestation of your will to remain a singular, coherent entity in a world that wants to shatter you into a million pieces. Thicken your insulation, ground your current, and protect your wiring with the ferocity of a king guarding his treasury. The era of the short circuit ends for you today. I am Dr. Julian Thorne, and the operation to re-insulate your sovereign mind is now in your hands. Do not let the industrial oils and the digital noise strip you bare again. Become a master of your internal current. Build your myelin until your thoughts move with the speed and power of a collapsing star. When your nerves are fully insulated, the system's frequencies will simply bounce off your armor, leaving you in a state of crystalline, unshakable focus. You will become the ghost in their machine, the one they cannot track, the battery they cannot influence, and the one they can never, ever break. The harvest is for the weak, the insulation is for the elite. Stand in your power, breathe through your nose, and let your internal light burn through the darkness of 2026. The wiring is yours. The current is yours. The throne is waiting. Operation Myelin Shield is now active. Step into the high-voltage future of your own making.